Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. My name is Reverend Osagyefo Sekou, and I am honored to be part of this movement, the Interdependence movement. And tonight you are in store for a marvelous ingathering of artists from around the world who are deeply committed to creating a more independent world. The choice that we face now is not interdependence versus independence, but given the human capacity to literally destroy the world, our task now is interdependence or annihilation. And so we gather now not in a sense of memorialization, given the fact that we stand in the shadow of the 10th anniversary of that tragic day, and that we are but a rock's throw from a profound and deeply horrific moment in human history. But we gather in the sense of revival, that tonight is to remind us, those of us who have committed ourselves to a story bigger than ourselves and older than ourselves, to be revived, to be renewed, and to be recommitted to a deeper, more fundamental understanding of what it means to be human, what it means to be committed to struggling to make the world a better place. I just returned from London, attending the funeral of Mark Duggan. Mark Duggan was the young man who was killed that sparked the riots throughout the UK, and that every day people in the world die from what Benjamin Barber calls slow terrorism. Dying, 30,000 children die every day because they don't have access to drinking water. That women are subject to arbitrary violence inside their homes with religious sanction. And there's no memorial for them. There is no national gathering for them. But you in this room are committed to ensuring that wherever terrorism is, whether it be grown in places of sand or whether it be grown in the places and the hearts that attribute violence to the lives of children, that you gather in this place to stand in opposition to those forms of terrorism wherever they are, and that interdependence requires us to understand fully and ethically that we are obligated to be connected to those people. And so for the Mark Duggans of the world, we gather here tonight. We gather here for those who died in September 11th, and we even gather for those who would blow themselves up in marketplaces, to say to them that there is not only another way, but we are the way. That we embody the possibilities of what it means to be grand and glorious human beings. And so let me end my remarks by quoting the greatest philosopher of the 20th century, my beloved grandmother, who had a third-grade education. But when she stood up, she was the height of mountains, and when she laid down, she was the length of rivers. She said to me two things. She says, boy, never forget where you came from and the bridges that brought you over. Let us never forget that we are part of a cloud of witnesses who have always believed that the world was interdependent and people just refused to listen to them. And then my grandmother said, boy, you ought to leave the world a little better than you found it. And so may we tonight, in this revival for interdependence, leave a little better than we were when we came in. Let us be transcended to a better place. And may we make that world a better place in our doing and our being. And if you are willing to do that, they will say of you and they will say of me, there stood a generation of men and women in the midst of drum beats for war being beaten, that they sang in a symphony of harmony and justice. They will say of you and they will say of me that there began a movement of interdependence. And they loved the world, and they left it a little better than they found it. Thank you. God bless you.